Want to know what 90% of the millionaires have in common? Real estate. 90% of the millionaires have been created by investing in real estate. This goes to show that real estate is one of the most important things to building your wealth. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Nate with you from the Millionaires channel, where I teach you everything about money that school didn't. If you're new here, make sure to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and turn on that post notification bell so you know when we post. Like I said, real estate is one of the best ways to build your net worth and become a millionaire. Today, I'm going to be showing you guys 5 ways to invest your money in real estate. Investing in rental properties is probably one of the most known ways to invest in real estate. That's besides becoming a real estate agent. So the idea with rental properties is that you'll purchase a house that does not need a lot of work. Maybe it needs some paint, maybe it needs some new carpet, the small cosmetic work. Then you'll fix all that stuff and then you'll rent this out to a tenant and have them basically pay the mortgage. With these, you'll have 2 types of profits. You'll have the first profit, which comes in the form of cash flow. The cash flow is going to be the money that you're putting into your pocket after all expenses are paid. This includes 8 to 10% for vacancies. This includes money set aside for minor repairs like fixing a kitchen sink, calling a plumber. Then you also have to set aside some money for major repairs that come every 10 years, like replacing a roof, replacing a water heater, replacing windows and stuff like that. These expenses are called CapEx expenses. And another expense that you're going to have to do if you want this to be more passive, which means you being less involved with the rental properties, you're going to have to pay a property manager, which usually charge the first month's rent plus 8 to 10% of every month's income. The reason why you set aside money in savings account per property and set aside 8% for CapEx and 10% for minor repairs is because say something does happen, your roof goes bad or your water heater breaks down or you need new windows. Rather than having to swarm and find all the money, find $10,000 or whatever it takes to replace a roof, you'll have that in the savings account. You're not going to have to worry and scramble for that money. Now, this is a safer approach and a less risky approach because you always have money to fall back on. But there are people that just put the money back into down payments for other properties, or they just put their money back into the mortgage so they can pay that down faster. That's probably not something you want to do with such low interest rates going on right now. If you were to pay back into the mortgage, you'd probably lose some money due to the opportunity cost, which means if you're paying down your interest of 3%, you can probably make 8% somewhere else. So rather than putting that back into the mortgage, you might as well invest it somewhere else. So the second type of profits that you're going to be getting from rental properties comes in the form of equity, and this is where your wealth comes from. So when you have a tenant in there, they're going to be paying you $1,000. And with that $1,000, you'll be paying off your expenses, like the things that you're putting aside, and you'll also be paying your mortgage off. So when you pay this mortgage off, you gain equity in the house, which means you own more of the house. Another way to increase your wealth through rental properties is appreciation. As time goes on, the houses become more and more expensive, like we've been seeing lately. 2020 alone, we've seen the average household or the average house price go up 13%. So that means if you had owned a rental property that was worth $200,000, it's now worth $226,000. So that extra $26,000 that increased in price, that goes straight to your net worth. You're not going to have to pay a mortgage on that. That's just straight cash. Well, not cash until you sell the house, but straight net worth. So there are a few options when investing in rental properties. You can invest in single family houses. You can invest in commercial real estate, like businesses that you rent out. You can have multifamilies, and there's also a trick with multifamilies, which I'll talk to you guys about later, and a bunch of other options. The benefit, aside from the cash flow and the wealth building, is you get a very, very big tax advantage when investing into real estate. You can depreciate your assets and write those off as losses and a bunch of other things. The next way to invest into real estate is probably not so much money intensive, as it doesn't take as much money to get started, but it is very, very difficult and it does take so much time. And this is wholesaling. Wholesaling is similar to being a real estate agent, but it also has its differences. The idea with wholesaling is that you'll find a distressed property, something that's undervalued, and you'll get that under contract at a cheap price, cheaper than what it's worth. And then you'll turn around and sell this to an investor. You'll sell the contract to an investor. You're not buying the property. You're just getting under contract that you will purchase it. And then when you turn around, you find an investor, you'll sell that contract for a higher price to another investor. Let's take an example here. Let's say you find a house that you know is worth $60,000 and that you can sell for $60,000. What you'll do is you'll try to talk to the seller to get this under contract for a cheaper price. You'll tell him, hey, I'll buy this house off you for $50,000. I'll buy this house off you for $45,000. Once you get that under contract, and I mean it's harder than that, obviously, but once you get that under contract, you're going to turn around and sell that contract that you bought for $45,000, or technically is what you're buying the house for, and you'll sell that to an investor for $60,000. So you'll profit the difference between $45,000 and $60,000, which is $15,000. Wholesalers usually work with a group or a list of real estate investors that they have on hand. So starting off as a real estate wholesaler might be pretty difficult. A wholesaler doesn't need a license like they do for real estate agents, but the laws and rules do change from state to state. So someone in California might have different circumstances than someone here in Michigan. So if you're going to look into real estate wholesaling, make sure you do due diligence on your local laws. And another difference between a real estate agent and a wholesaler is a wholesaler is not working on behalf of someone. It's not like they're selling a property for someone. They're acting on their own. And opposed to real estate agents, wholesalers don't get paid commission. Real estate agents do, since they're working on behalf of someone. Brr, brr, it's cold. Nah, I'm kidding. Not that type of burr. I'm talking about the third way to invest your money into real estate, which is buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. Burr. The burr strategy is kind of a combination between renting out your property and flipping your property. And this is also probably one of the more active real estate tactics to invest in. The strategy here is to buy a house that needs work and then eventually rent it out. So you'll buy a property, you'll rehab it, you'll put whatever money you need to into that to fix it up, make it look good, and find a tenant. And then you'll rent it out, you'll find a tenant, rent it out to them. And then you'll refinance that, which means pull your money out that, because you're essentially at the beginning you're paying cash. So you're gonna pull your money out of that, then you're gonna repeat this process. So the reason why this makes sense, why this refinance process makes sense, is because when you purchase a property, you're paying 70% of its ARV, or its after repair values, minus your expenses. So all in, you have to be at most 70% of what you can sell the property for, or what the property is worth. So let's take a look at some numbers to make things easier. Let's say you found a house that can sell for $100,000 after you do your repairs, because it has 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and then the comparisons within the area come out to $100,000. And you know that you need to put $20,000 into this. So 0.7 of $100,000 is $70,000 minus your repairs, which is $20,000. So that means you can only afford to pay $50,000 on this property for it to make sense. So let's say you do find this, you do haggle this deal down to $50,000 and you purchase it for $50,000. So then you put $20,000 into repairs. So you're all in at 70%, or $70,000. So after repairs, you're in $70,000, but this house is worth $100,000. So you'll then go to a bank and tell them you want to refinance or put a loan on your house and take out the equity. And they'll only give you 80% of what your ARV is. So they'll only give you 80% of $100,000. So they'll give you $80,000. So what you'll do is you'll use $70,000 of that to pay off your purchase money, or whatever you want to call that, and then your repairs, which was $70,000. And then you have $10,000 left over. So that $10,000 goes in your pocket, and you repeat the process. And now that you still own the property because you didn't sell it, you refinanced it, you rent this out to a tenant. So also with that $10,000 that went into your pocket, you're getting rental income every single month from this tenant. As you can see, this is a pretty great way to build your wealth and scale your wealth, but it's very, very difficult just because you have to deal with the rehab side, which means you need a good team, you need to know how to budget for stuff like that, and you also need to know how to rent this out and deal with the tenant side. If you're not going to sell it in the end. The fourth strategy to make money by investing in real estate is flipping. Like I said, it's similar to the Burr method, but you're not renting it out in the end. You're just going to sell it. So you're going to find a distressed property. You're going to fix it up. You're going to be, let's say, $70,000 in. We'll stick with that number. And then you'll turn around once you have that all done. You'll turn around and sell that for $100,000 or $110,000, and then you'll pocket the difference. So you'll pocket $30,000 to $40,000. There's much more potential in this strategy. I'm just using these for simple math. So find distressed property, fix it up, sell it for more. Very, very simple. Simpler than doing it, but simple to understand. Remember earlier when I mentioned multifamilies and I said I have a secret for you guys, or I have a trick? And that's called house hacking. House hacking is the fifth way to invest in real estate. So house hacking is the idea that you buy a multifamily property and you live in one unit and rent out the others. So let's say you buy a duplex or a triplex. Let's say a triplex. So you'll live in one. You'll put your down payment on this and you'll live in one unit and you'll rent out the other 2 units. You have 3 total units in this house. So basically you're living for free. You're living in the same house as your tenants and they're paying you to live in that house. You can also do this with even single family houses. If let's say you're a college student, you're a young adult who doesn't have family and doesn't mind having a roommate. If you have a single family house and you have a spare bedroom, you can rent that out to someone. I mean, personally, I wouldn't want someone that I don't know walking around in my house, but in my same unit, but to each their own. So if you don't have a multifamily house, but you're okay with having a roommate, that's also an option. Another benefit with house hacking is it's much more affordable. When you buy an investment property like a rental property, banks typically require 20 to 25% down in order to get a mortgage or a loan on that. So if you want to purchase a $200,000 rental property, you're going to need $40,000 to $50,000 down, and that's without closing costs and fees. You're going to need $40,000 to $50,000 down just to get the property. If you're looking for a multifamily and you want a house hack, this is considered a private or a primary residence since you're going to be living in it. And since you're going to be living in it, you can get something like a 5% conventional loan, or you can get an FHA loan with 3.5% down. So that same $200,000 house, you can get for $7,000 down. Like I said, that's not considering closing costs and all of that, but I mean, that's a steal. $7,000 down for a $200,000 house? Boy, oh boy. See, I know today is probably not the best market to find a rental property. I mean, people are struggling to find their own primary residence in their own houses, but it's going to be hard to find rental properties in any market, believe it or not. So when you are looking for a rental property, you can, or any other property, make sure that your numbers are correct. Don't just jump in and say that it's okay, it's a good property, I'm gonna go ahead and purchase it without running your numbers. We have a free Millionaires rental property calculator at themillionaires.com, which you guys can check out and run your numbers. You can put in 8% for vacancy, you can put in your purchase price, your down payment, it'll come out and show you whether this is a good deal or not, depending on your cash flow numbers. So check that out. I hope these strategies made sense to you guys and opened your eyes up to the potential in the real estate market and in real estate investing. Because we all know now that this is the first step to becoming a millionaire, or as I like to say, a millionaire. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys learned something. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, the like button, share with a friend who you think is going to benefit, and I'll see you guys in the next one.